Hello, everybody, and welcome to another My Music. Today, all the way from where are you? Where are you coming from?
I'm in the suburbs of Chicago.
Oh,
I won't say which one, but it's a very sleepy suburb where not a whole lot happens.
I just like the way you said it. The suburbs of Chicago. Is Collette with a Scottish surname? We'll have you know, for all you people that thought it might be Irish or something else.
If you meet a McLafferty, I'm probably related to them. So
okay, well, we are going to be finding out about that and Colette's life in music and the arts and everything else straight after this.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
So, Collette, thank you. And the first question, which is an obvious follow-up question to that then, is do you have a tartan then?
I don't have a tartan.
Come on. You must have a tartan.
Maybe I will look into it after this interview. I mean, I'm very Americanized. I don't have a tartan, but maybe
if anyone is out there that is studying such things or knows about such things and can find Colette's tartan and maybe her coat of arms, because that is likely as well. Maybe she even has a castle somewhere. She'd love to know. She'd love to know.
That would be cool. That'd be
wouldn't it? That would be very cool. Would you love to live in a castle, or would that be too big for you?
Well, do I have staff to clean it?
Oh, of course you do. Of course you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've toured in a van, and slept overnight in the van to play a show. So why not a castle just to
offset?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It'd be bringing balance to your life.
Exactly.
After how many times did you tour in a van? I know what that's like, by the way. It's sweaty.
Oh, I know. I know. I researched you, and you and I have some stuff in common where we were both part of the label system in the legacy music industry. Like a lot of that. I can't even tell you how many times I toured because there's a period of like my mid 20s to early 30s where I was just constantly out on the road. And it wasn't very long tours. It'd be like I'd go out for a few days and then come back, go to my waitressing job, go out for a few days, or like get in a van for like a 10-hour.
Man, I had a year, Collette, where I didn't sleep. I had a year where I literally didn't sleep.
Mm-hmm. And instruments on top of us.
It was crazy. I'd finish doing what I was doing during the day. I'd get in a van. I'd go out. I'd do a gig. I'd get back the next day. Then I'd have some work, and then then we'd have a rehearsal. Then we'd get in a van, and I just didn't stop.
But did you have fun?
Of course, I had fun. It was great, wasn't it?
It was a blast. I mean, I would never do it now. Like,
I couldn't do it now. I'm too old.
Yeah, I could never tour the way I used to tour.
Do you know what? I reckon a lot of youngsters couldn't. I reckon a lot of them would go, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But you know what? We did it. We seen it. We did it. We got the T-shirt, and it was great.
We got $20 if we were lucky.
Yeah. Everyone in the band would get a drink.
Oh yeah.
And that was it.
Sometimes they didn't even give you drinks.
I know. That's what I mean. The 20 would buy you the drinks, and then you'd work. Somebody would have to. There would normally be one person. There was in our band. If I think about the main band I was in, there was one guy who was probably the worst player. Let's be honest, right?
Probably the coolest guy.
But he owned the van.
Oh, yes.
And he owned like a lot of the equipment. So he was in the band. Right?
That's something though. Like if you're bringing equipment to the table, which is very expensive,
You're bringing a lot. You're bringing it.
then he's earned his place in the band, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. There may or may not have been situations where during recordings, other people did his parts.
Scandalous. Well, that's when you were on the major, allegedly, when you may or may not have been on the major label.
Well, I've never been on a major label. We were on a
major.
No. We were on a small label.
Right,
But that may have happened. Look, do you know what I mean? It's just, it's
wild.
Look, any spoof rock documentary that's
real.
Out there is real. Real Spinal Tap, Bad News, any of those, everything in it is real.
It's very real.
It's fantastic.
I know.
I've seen some of I love actually your Instagram. It's great because it's chaotic.
Thank you.
I know, right? But it's beautiful. It's like all over the place.
I know.
You've got like cats. Cats. So if you were an alien and you suddenly came down to Earth and you saw Colette's Instagram, you'd go, "What is going on here? Is this about cats? About her latest music? Is this about some kind of tabloid scandal that she's been involved with? Is she living now or is she living 20 years ago?" Nobody would know. Nobody would know. But I love that. Honestly, Collette, it's the most beautiful, random, like scrapbook of love out there.
I appreciate that so much because there have been times where I have thought to myself, should I just hire a branding company? Should I wipe it all out and start over? But then I realized that what I'm posting, even though it's not too polished, like, sometimes I just record what's on my laptop, which is like supposed to be like a no-no. It's very honest. And that's really all I can do is be, it's probably not going to go viral in the algorithm because it's so chaotic and unfocused. But there's days where I don't feel like promoting my music because I did it for years, right? So sometimes I'll just be like, you know what? Today I'm passionate about my cat. And so that's what you're getting.
Yeah, but and we've talked about this quite a lot on this show. I mean, I think it's a shame in a way, or I feel sorry actually for a lot of youngsters these days because they almost get taught the business and they almost get taught that this is the way you've got to do stuff. And, there's one thing about social media, and I know about social media because I run a business in social media, is that actually, yes, there are ways of doing stuff which work and don't work or whatever. But at the same time, if everybody's doing it, you don't stand out, right? Because everybody else is doing it. Everybody else is wearing the same T-shirt. Everybody else is putting the same stuff out all the time.
That is the truth. And also, how like the big thing is to sing your song with the lyrics above you. And I love that type of content, by the way. I love that type of content. Who was the first person to do that? There was a time when that type of content was not popular and out there. And if that person hadn't just tried that, like, hey, let me just get on camera, sing my song, to the camera, and then I'm going to add lyrics above my head. At one point in the history of social media and the internet, that was a foreign thing to do. So I feel like you have to do things that feel honest to you and that feel truthful to you. And even if it's a little messy or a little chaotic, or it doesn't fit in the box of what's working right now, sure, you can always experiment with things that are tried and true. But I agreed with that. You got to do what feels right for you.
Yeah. I'm gonna burst some people's bubbles right now. Right now, live on, well, it's not live because we're recording it, but nearly live on air. I'm going to burst some people's bubbles. one of the reasons why the lyrics are there is obviously because they're captioned, right?
Mhm.
And everything does captions, right? And one of the reasons that everybody potentially would want to put captions on their things is to make their content more accessible, more inclusive to people, right?
Mhm.
Did you know that most of the caption types, especially all those kind of flashy, whatever, they're not accessible? No, they're not. So,
Oh.
people that are trying to see that, who are visually impaired and or struggle to know or struggle to hear, it doesn't work for them. So actually, there you go.
I didn't know that. And that hurts my heart. Like,
You
I
see,
didn't know that at all.
what we need to do is what we need, well, like all of us, we need to just become more educated about all of this stuff. But we don't know this stuff because people make all of this software and stuff, and they just want to sell us more and more stuff
Mhm.
that follows what they decide is a trend, so that we buy more and more of it. So, and then when that trend gets a bit old, they sell us something else, so we do it in a different way. You're all buying a lot of software, folks.
Yep.
Lots of it. Years ago, we used to buy penny sweets, and penny sweets that cost a penny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those.
Yeah, years ago, we used to buy little penny sweets, and then we used to queue up at our favorite record shop for hours, and spend all of our pocket money on a single. That's what we used to do.
The 45s.
The 45s, yeah.
What's the thing in the middle called, the yellow thing? Is it a spindle or
Yeah. What, so that it would fit? That's right. Well,
I
it's just a
had
beautiful thing.
I think my first 45 was Prince.
Oh,
I must have been about 10 years old, but here's where it gets a little weird. I think Let's Go Crazy might have been on one side, but then like the other side was Erotic City,
yeah.
which is definitely like I'm not at that point, I'm not actually old enough to really understand what Erotic City means.
Well, other question for you, right?
Hmm.
At that point, when you bought that thing, had you ever been on an elevator?
Oh, that's a
What?
good.
Isn't that a good question, right?
I'm pretty sure I had been on an elevator.
You had been on an elevator.
I had, yes, but also,
I mean, Prince came with, Prince came with his metaphors quite heavy, right?
I didn't catch all the sexy stuff.
No, right?
So crazy. Oh, wait, can I tell you about when I bought the Purple Rain album?
No.
Oh, it might have been Purple Rain or no, I'm sorry. I can't remember. It was Purple Rain or 1999. I think it was 1999. Double album.
Okay. Yeah.
So I buy it. I come home. I'm so excited. My grandmother's with me and we unbox it. And so the first record had a picture of the band. They're all in their cravats and their coats. Awesome. And then the second one had Prince lying on a bed and you could just see a little bit of his butt crack. And there's all this fog. I had never seen a man's butt crack before, thank God. I was only 10. And then my grandmother is I could see that she's just trying not to make a big deal out of it. Because looking back, if she would have made a huge deal out of it, I would have wanted to see more of Prince's butt crack, right? But because she made it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that big of a deal for me and my 10-year-old brain. But then when I look back at it as an adult, it's funny.
I used to get that from my gran. I used to ask my gran to buy me records for Christmas,
Nice.
right? And she would, bless her. But I'd get the sort of lecture via my mum, right? Your gran's not happy with that.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes I didn't even understand it. I asked her to get me an early Sting album at one point, right? And she was like, she's not happy. She's not happy with it. I was like, Sting. It's like
It's so controversial that
I couldn't understand it. I couldn't think what was on that album. That it was the second album with Englishman in New York and whatever on it. And I was thinking, is there anything but what she'd obviously done, she'd obviously like opened it and like looked through the lyrics. There must have been something in there that was.
You had good parents. You had very good parents. I love that. I actually love the fact that how old were you at this time?
How old was I when, oh my goodness. I've got to look this up now. Sting albums. Excuse me, folks, but you know, we have to be really 1987.
Okay.
That I was quite old. 1987.
Oh, okay.
Why on earth was she? I mean, I was born in 1971.
Okay, I'm 73.
Right.
So we're the same era.
You know, so I'm in my early teens, right? I'm in my early teens, and Nothing Like the Sun comes out, and there's something on there that is controversial. God only knows what she would have made of some of the albums that I bought at some point in my life, right?
Or the albums that are out today.
Yeah. Did you? What I mean, other than Prince, what was the most naughty album that you ever bought?
You know what? It probably was Prince. I don't buy a lot of like naughty stuff.
No.
I think that was it. Like all the Prince stuff, because there was Darling Nikki about doing naughty things with the magazine.
Yeah.
And that's how I even learned what that word was. So I feel like that's about as naughty. Like I don't get a lot of like very explicit stuff. You know, I loved Alanis Morissette, like going down in the movie theater and all that. But by that point, I was much, much older. So
yeah.
I never, when it comes to music, I never really got further than that in terms of controversy.
Well, until the controversy hit you.
Oh yes, except for it wasn't sexual, but yeah, controversy did hit me.
Yeah, how did that feel when that happened? When it's like, you know.
Sure. So I'll just explain for your audience very briefly what happened. I got hired to sing in a Pink cover band, and I did not know that the former drummer had a problem with the bass player who hired me. The drummer decided to sue the bass player for $10 million, and he dragged me into the lawsuit. I had to fight it for 2 years. I gave up my apartment in Manhattan so I could pay my legal fees. And the New York Post wrote about it. And instead of writing the truth that two men were having some stupid fight and I got dragged into it, the New York Post lied to the world and wrote the headline, "Singer Sued for Being Too Old and Too Ugly for Pink Cover Band." That story went viral worldwide. So now all these media outlets are falsely reporting that this $10 million lawsuit revolved around me and that I was so bad and I was so old and I was so ugly that he had to sue. And a lot of the public bought that. And yeah, how it felt. So psychologically, it did a number. I think I was very numb for a number of months, because not only was I fighting this $10 million lawsuit against a man that I had never met before, there were these just false things in the media saying that I was old, ugly, and untalented. My session singing career, which at the time relied on my online reputation, it just dried up overnight, you know? So I got like a 90% reduction in bookings. And so I went from singing full time in New York City, having this life that I just love, to like everything just crumbling down at once. But I found purpose outside of it. I became a lawsuit reform advocate. I went to the Senate. I went to the Assembly. But what was so interesting, you know, I was a classically trained vocalist. I'd had a record deal. I had sang on commercials. I had booked my own tours, produced my own music videos. And all of a sudden, I'm being reduced in the mainstream media as a bad, ugly singer. And then the media, because at the time, ageism, not only was it acceptable in the music industry, it was embraced in the music industry. There were media outlets that were like, she's a 40-year-old singer. Like the fact that I was 40 was, and actually stepping on a stage and singing pop music was seen as so scandalous that it was like, oh, we must cut her down at all costs. So, it was incredibly traumatic. So I went through all the steps of trauma where at first you're numb. And then like, you know, a year later, you're just crying in the fetal position in your bed because you realize what happened. And then there was a period of about 10 years, I could not listen to music by myself. That's how traumatized I was.
That's awful.
Yeah. Oh, it was bad. But I did write a book about it. And I did, you know, I called everybody out, everyone who participated in this mass cruelty event targeted towards me. The book's called Confessions of a Bad, Ugly Singer. It's out of print, but you can find a copy here or there at a used bookstore. And I am working on another edition. So I've healed, which is amazing.
Yeah.
What worries me is that maybe not everybody would have healed. And maybe if that had happened to me at an earlier point in my career, that it could have actually done some real unreversible damage. But yeah. I a lot of therapy.
It's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, what you know, sort of misplaced writing can do to people. What you know, and what you know, two people's spat can do as well. You know, we can take everything too far in life. You know, and that's a real shame, isn't it? If I bet you were thinking all the way through that, if only those guys could have actually just talked to each other, right?
You know, they did try at one point. They tried to take the case out of the legal system and into mediation. But the problem was that the man who dragged me into the case, he made numerous false statements about me in the lawsuit, but he knew the legal loopholes. He had no business ever dragging me into it. And I did everything I could to get out of it. I had to go to the press to just get it in the paper to get it dropped. And the thing is that he did want to drop it once all these headlines about me went viral, but he wanted me to sign a non-disclosure agreement saying that I would never talk about it again. And he also did not want to pay my legal fees. So at that point, I had about $3,200 in legal fees. And I said, well, if I'm going to sign an NDA, you're going to pay my legal fees and give me something extra for my time. He didn't want to do that. So unfortunately, I had to go become a legal reform advocate, and I had to go write a book. And yeah, these two weren't talking to each other. They were, and I don't want to just blame the guy that sued me, because also the guy that hired me, he wasn't on his best behavior either. So,
but the thing is, you've done right. So you became an advocate. You've changed some stuff, right? You've made some stuff happen, right? And you've written a book. Yeah. And you've come out the other side, which is tremendous, etc. Where are you now? Where do you feel like at now? Let's talk about the positive. Where are you now? Boom.
It's really interesting. So it took me a while to like build myself back up into the world of music. And then just as I did, COVID hit and like shut down New York City. So I moved back into like my childhood home, like a lot of people did. Right now, what I care about the most is my home, my family, my friends,
Your cats.
my cats. Yes. Oh my God. Honestly, yeah. And what I've been doing, I can say that I really just started listening to music and appreciating music again a couple of years ago. And I'll never forget the day where I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. I'm by myself. I think I'm ready to just listen to this playlist on Spotify. And so when the music industry was changing, I missed it because I was like, I want nothing to do with music. So I'm going back. I have a lot of lost recordings that never got finished. And one of them is actually coming out later in the week on the 19th. It's a song called Lunacy. Dave Eggar, he is the former cellist from Edible Red. And he's also on, you know, that Coldplay song Clocks? That's him.
Wow.
I have Muzz Skillings from formerly of Living Color, is playing bass.
Oh,
I
what a
co-produced.
band, hey?
Oh my God, Living Color, my heroes. I love them. So
I saw Living Colour live in Newcastle, 91, I'm going to say.
yeah,
Yeah. You know, like the drummer used to have a cage, like the pyramid cage that he
Mhm.
sat in. Right. And like Vernon was just like stupidly good on guitar.
What's amazing about Living Color is that they kept, you know, now we're in the era of the internet where we have these tools to reconnect with fans if we've been out of, you know, the business for a while. Living Color kept going at a time where those tools were not readily available.
Yep.
And they weren't getting the radio play, but yet they kept going. So yeah, having Muzz, even though Muzz was from the earlier part of Living Color, he's one of my personal heroes musically and creatively. He has a band called Medicine Stick. So he played on this track, and it sat on my hard drive for like 10 years.
Wow.
And I finally just said, you know what? It may not be perfect. I always had this vision that I'd take it back in the studio and I'd remix it. And you know what? I was like, nope, just going to go get it mastered, you know, and I'm just going to put it out. So, and I feel like it's a statement for where I'm at today. You know, I don't have a lot of music under my solo name. I have like Lunacy will be like song number 4. But I think where I'm at is just, I'm just going to put music out. And whatever happens, happens. I'm not that married to like, oh, I got to make it. I got to be on tour. Nah. I'm kind of taking it day by day because I've been through a lot.
But you know what? I hope people give you a lot of love for it.
Thank you.
I do.
Thank you.
Because you've been through some
unimaginable things.
Absolutely. You know, and I just hope that, like, you know, what people do is they just put all of that aside and that like nobody mentions any of that stuff, right, when this comes out. And we forget all about all of that because that's all in the past. And everybody just celebrates the song for what it is.
Yeah.
And just gets excited about it and then lets you know. And I think that would be great. And also, I think you should do a T-shirt.
Okay.
Right. I think you should do a T-shirt to celebrate the song, but with one of the cats on it.
You know, that's
good.
I was thinking of making the music video around my cats. Like, why not just embrace it? You know, I'm
embrace the cat.
Crazy cat lady.
Yeah. Just put. I'll tell you what, as well, just to make it quite fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is in the background on the video, right?
Yeah.
Just have like little references to Prince albums.
That would
right?
be a fun Easter egg.
Yeah, and then people could do like spot the Prince references. They'd be very subtle, right? You could have like, that'd be great.
And people in our age range will know them,
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
Do you know what I mean? It could be something like
Is the water cold enough?
yeah, or you could have like a tin of alphabet spaghetti or something on the side. Just
That would be cool.
do you know what I mean? And it just be like just little stuff like that. Little paisley dress somewhere.
Oh,
Just
that whole era was just growing up during that era.
but I think people need fun
They do.
in some of these things as well, right? So many like videos are like shot so serious and like so
Mhm.
dramatic and whatever. Just let's do a video where it's fun. It's your cats. There's some Prince stuff for you. There's a competition, right?
I like that.
It's can you spot all the Prince stuff? It'd be great.
I like that a lot.
Do you know what? It's a bit like and he's talked about it loads of times, but it's a bit like when Nick Kershaw released The Riddle, right? And everybody thought it was an actual place and it was an actual riddle and they had to go and find it. And I think he even teased it one time on one of the Saturday morning shows. Sorry, Nick, if that's not true. I'm meeting Nick later in the year, so I'll ask him.
Nice.
But and it was just nonsense. He just made up the whole song is just nonsense, right? But it was great. But people thought it was. And, like people were out there in the fields going, oh, look, I think it's here. I think what it means here, I've dug a hole here. There's probably some treasure hidden in the ground. No, it's not. It's just made the whole thing up. It's just great. I love that.
Fun.
Yes. We need to get back to that.
Yeah.
We need to.
There was so much fun to be had from a musical perspective in the 80s. It was just a good time.
Talking about, let's just go back to your Prince album actually for a minute of the 1999. Did you believe that we wouldn't see year 2000? I mean, come on. Right? There was there was a moment there, right? When Prince is singing, right? We've got a party like it's 1999.
Mm-hmm.
It's all going to go off. Will 2000 come out? And then, do you remember, there was that whole Millennium scandal
Y2K.
where it's like
Y2K.
Yes, Y2K. And as soon as that was announced, everybody's mind went back to Prince, and they were like, "Is this actually going to happen? Is this going to be it?" We were all pissed actually, but we were all terrified on the Millennium New Year's Eve that next day this is all going to end. All going to end.
I do remember I actually worked as a cocktail waitress at a place called Chicago Blues. It was in New York City.
Don't You Want Me, Baby?
Buddy Miles was playing, and it was going into the millennium. I remember a lot of people didn't go out.
Really?
And I remember I got kind of trashed while I was working because all I had to do was like take care of the band, who were amazing, by the way. And every time a customer ordered a shot, whatever it was, I did a shot with them because I was young and I could, right? So like I could do a shot of tequila, a shot of Bailey's. And then I remember by the end of the night, I think it was Buddy's daughter or one of the daughters of one of the band members helped me with my paperwork because my manager was like, "Are you wasted?" I'm like, "Patrick, it's the millennium. Of course I'm wasted." And it was, I didn't get in any trouble because we were going into the year 2000, but not a lot of people were out. And I remember that a lot of people stayed home. There were no major incidents, at least not in New York City or in the United States. And then everything kind of happened later, but a lot of people did not. I remember the Y2K thing very well.
Oh, modern mythologies. Those things are great.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you were working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. I think that's great as well. God, you've got you've got all the references going on, haven't you?
I do. Yeah.
You see, you just
That's one of my favorites, by the way.
what a
That's-
great song.
I sang a lot in 80s bands. And whenever I got to sing that song, I got to sing the girls' parts. And singing that live in a bar, it's amazing how a lot of the 80s music just translates to
A setting.
and multiple age groups, right? So
Yeah.
getting to sing that in a bar with like a lot of drunk 20-year-olds who know every word, one of the best feelings ever.
Yeah. Something also about a lot of those 80s songs as well is they said a lot of very clever stuff, but wrapped up
Yes.
in less obvious storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to unpick the story. You know, I mean, that's a great story in a way about female emancipation, but it's not wrapped up in that, right? Yeah, it's not an obvious kind of like girl power. You know, that a lot of that came later on, right?
I felt that
Clever.
I felt that it became more obvious. Well, also back then, the music industry was still kind of new, but I felt that as the music industry progressed and became more corporate, and now you have like 10 people writing a song, and now it has to be under a certain amount, and you have to get to the hook by the first 30 seconds. A lot of the nuance from mainstream pop music kind of went away a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But now things don't have to be mainstream, which is amazing.
No.
You don't have to please that machine anymore.
Hey, let's to finish today. Let's bring it back round to Prince, because one of the things we've got to celebrate about the life of Prince was that he showed us pop, right, perfectly, but at the same time, he showed us how to rebel against that machine, right?
Yes, he did.
So much so, right? I mean, even like the genius stuff, like releasing an album and it's one track.
We're changing his name to a symbol.
Yeah, all the stuff, you know.
Or I will never forget. I can't remember which interview,
Slave.
when he said, "Don't sign." Here is this artist, this signed artist who is mega famous, and he's saying to the
He had slave, didn't he, written on his cheek?
Yep. Don't sign.
Yeah.
And it's wild, because now you do see artists that signed when they were very, very young, trying to get out of their contracts.
I know.
So, and I'm not saying people shouldn't sign, but you should, if Prince is giving advice from the past, listen. Always listen to Prince. I feel like he knows what's up.
You've actually really invigorated me today. Thank you. We've covered a lot of ground very, very quickly. And I'm glad that you can talk about some of that tough stuff, right? Yeah. And that you're able to, speak about it now without it, causing issues and causing upset. And you're moving on, and your new single is going to be your new old single is going to be out there soon. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. And I just want to encourage everybody, if you're listening today and you've heard Colette's story now, be really nice to her. All right? Be really nice to her. Or I'm coming round in the next week or so. When's the single out?
It's coming out on the 19th.
19th.
5 o'clock.
Okay. So that's a few days once I've got this out, right? So be nice to her, right? Pre-save the single.
I could use some positive reinforcement, so I just want to put that out there to the internet.
I want to see lots of you, right? So pre-saving the track and then listening to it, and then going on to Colette's wonderfully chaotic Instagram and just telling her how much you love her. All right.
Thank you so much.
That's all we want to happen. That's what we want to happen, because that's that will encourage her to do a bit more. And maybe find some new bits and pieces on the hard drive. There's always good songs on the hard drive. Do you know what? I love all of those stories about things being sat on hard drives for a while. When my old friend Troy, I don't know whether you saw that episode, who Troy Miller that came on, who was in a band with me when we were.
I definitely didn't see Troy's episode. I gotta. If it's with your old bandmate, I definitely want to watch it.
Okay, so yeah, watch that. But he had the song. He wrote the song. Giant,
okay,
right, which was then a big hit for Calvin Harris and Rag and Bowman. He had that sat on his hard drive for ages.
Oh, I love that. Do you know how many was it? 10 years, 5 years?
Oh no. Well, I don't think it was that long, but he had it on there, and I think I'm going to say that I don't know whether it was Calvin that found it or somebody else that found it on the hard drive. I'm going to have to go back and watch my own interview, but somebody else found it on the hard drive and went, this.
Wow.
There you go. It's a beautiful thing when that happens, isn't it?
It really is. Really, really is. That's a very encouraging story.
It is.
Yeah.
You never know. Your song might be the next, might go big. It might get into a Netflix. It might get a little sync there. You know, it could be the biggest Netflix series that's just about to go viral. And then before you know it, you're viral for all the right reasons, Collette.
Yes.
Not the wrong reasons.
That would be nice. That would be nice to experience positive.
That's what it's all about.
Positive viral moment.
Folks, this has been the marvelous Collette. She's come to us from America. She's told us her story of years in a van and pastures difficult in the past and pastures new going forward. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
And folks, now it's your turn. You have to go and you have to find her music. You have to enjoy it. You don't have to enjoy it, but we hope you do. And if you do, then go and share the love. You've been listening
to. I've been through a lot.
You have. And buy the cat t-shirt when she does it. Please.
I'm doing the cat t-shirt.
I'm gonna wear one. Folks, you've been listening to my music. If you've enjoyed this, please do go and listen to some more. We've got about 520 of these things that you can go and listen to now. And you can join the My Music community as well at mymusicpodcast.com. We will be back soon with more of the same. But until then, from Collette and myself, just remember, kiss.
Wow. Yeah.
Bye for now.